Hello babes. It's been a pretty miserable week in terms of weather, and I've worn some real favourites actually this week, and I've also worn some, at least one that I've never given a full day's wear to before, which was very exciting. And I wore one of my samples, and I tested loads of stuff this week, in store that is, so I did a lot of sampling. If you hang around till the end of the video, that's when I'll talk about most of that stuff, because you know it's not always the most fun when I haven't got the bottles, I do realise, but I love looking at bottles. But all of my other ones will be here. So let's start with, oh my goodness, I can't tell you how much I was obsessed with this week. This is one where I'm like, I took this out of my top 20 for life, and I smelt it and I was like, there's no way. This is why I can't have a top 20 for life. The next time I update it, this has to be back in there. So this got knocked out by Donna Aqua, but in the winter, oh my God, I am so obsessed with Burberry Brit. It's so yummy. It's such a lovely perfume to wear when it's cold. Oh, yeah, I was truly just obsessed with this. And I don't know why. Like, I loved it the last time I wore it, but this time I was literally thinking, I wonder if I should get a backup of this in case they change it at some point. And once I start thinking about worrying that it might get changed or discontinued and that I should buy a backup, that's when I know that I've fully fallen head over heels in a slightly obsessive way. But you know, I absolutely love a pear perfume, and this one is pear and almond with lime in it. So it's so yummy. It's got quite a strong vanilla, but it's very sugary. I also have the EDT, which is really delicious, a bit lighter, not quite as sweet, and more herbaceous. It has lemongrass in it. But that one for me, I literally just bought it because I was so craving this, but I cannot wear this in warmer weather. And wearing it again, it's not because this does not feel like a beast when I wear it in cold weather. But if I try to wear it anytime when it's not cold, I find it extremely overwhelming, and a bit headache inducing. So that's why I wanted the EDT as well. And I'm so glad to have them both because so scrumptious. So the full set of notes, almond, lime and pear in the top, the candied almond, sugar and peonies in the middle, and base notes are vanilla, tonka bean, amber and mahogany. I love this. It's so lush. I understand why some people don't like it. It is quite an unusual smelling perfume, but it's so pretty, and I loved wearing this. I could not get enough of myself in this one. Absolutely gorgeous. So that's Burberry Brit EDP. And then I reached for this on one of those days where I was rushing out of the door. I didn't really know what to wear. And in cold weather, when I feel like that, this is the one I often reach for. I mean, it's just an absolute winner. It's beautiful. So Sarah Jessica Parker, Stash Unspoken, one of the few perfumes I've bought while I had my channel that I've got quite a serious dent in. This is a 100ml bottle. I reckon I've used about 40ml of this, maybe, I'd say, from that. I do have backups of this because I do know that these aren't being produced anymore, but you can still really get this so easy in the UK, and it's so cheap. This is my affordable alternative to Scarlet Poppy by Jo Malone. Not because they smell exactly the same, because Scarlet Poppy has something kind of fruity, almost berryish about it. I think it smells a little bit, the current version anyway. It gives me a bit of a cherry bakewell vibe, but the overall scent and the texture of how it feels really reminded me of Stash Unspoken. So I love this. It's really easy to wear. It is a bit powdery. It's quite enveloping. It's mainly, I would say, tonka bean, sandalwood, honeysuckle and a bit of quince. You do get some pink pepper, but I mean the notes are quince and pink pepper in the top, honeysuckle, wisteria and peony in the mid, base notes tonka bean, sandalwood, musk and olibanum. But it's very comforting, it's very cozy, it's sweet, it's pretty. Really weirdly, I was in a lift with a colleague and she asked me what perfume I was wearing, and she asked me if it was Cacharel's Amour Amour. And I was really taken aback because I was like, I know exactly which perfume you're talking about because I used to wear that. But I don't actually get that comparison even slightly, like not even a hint. But I thought it was really fascinating that she was thinking about that. No, I'm really not getting more and more from this. It's really interesting. But anyway, so maybe to other people this smells a bit like a More and More. I don't get that myself. A More and More I think is quite a rose forward perfume. But yeah, it was really interesting anyway. She could certainly smell me. Okay, let's see. Oh, right. Sorry if I'm talking a bit weird, by the way. I managed to bite the inside of my mouth earlier, and if any one of you have done that before, it's so painful and it's kind of swollen, and I don't know, I feel like I'm talking a bit funny. So, this was the evening of my birthday that I put this one on. I will explain later what I was wearing in the morning, but this is the one that I put on in the evening because I wanted to compare it to the sample I wore in the morning. So, just beautiful. I mean, I do love both of these. I think the EDT is the one I'd absolutely choose if I could only have one. But this is Eau Duelle EDP. It is a stunning, sort of strange, sheer vanilla. Like a sort of... It's still a bit of a green vanilla, I'd say, this one. But it's smoky as well. So it has this kind of incensey smokiness to it, on top of the greener notes and the black tea kind of sheerness that's in the original EDT. I mean, the Diptyque bottles are just my absolute ideal bottles. They're so beautiful. It's just such a sort of easy to wear, non-gourmand, subtle vanilla. I just absolutely love Eau Duelle. I think Eau Duelle is my ride or die vanilla. And it's really easy for me to wear. The EDT is easier than this one, but they're still both, to me, very easy. Like if I was going to recommend someone getting Eau Duelle, I'd always recommend the EDT. I think it's a little bit easier to wear. It's more affordable. You get more for your money. And I do know some people aren't keen on incense notes, but I really like the incense note in this. It's super pretty. So they only tell you that there's bourbon, vanilla, incense, cypriol oil and pink pepper in this. But it is so similar to the original that I'm pretty sure it still has a lot of the same notes that one does, which I can't remember offhand what they are, but I know there's black tea in it. Gorgeous, absolutely delicious, love it. And then this big bad boy. All right. Because I realised I'd put this in my other video, but I just hadn't worn it for ages, so I thought I'd break it out. I've not really had an occasion to wear this one, because this is one that I think of as being a little bit of a kind of drinks or, you know, work event in winter, that kind of thing, maybe a kind of classy party. But there's not been much of that going on in my life so far this year, so I just thought I'd wear it. So I did wear it to work. This is Untold Absolu by Elizabeth Arden. This fabulous old bottle. They don't make these anymore. They're now in very boring plain bottles, but it does mean that they've kept the price pretty low on them. So you can still get this perfume. And I really recommend it if you're someone who likes a more perfumey perfume, something that doesn't smell like literal food, but has like an element of a kind of creamy vanilla in it, because this has a very obvious creamy vanilla in it, but then it has the florals and the fruits on top and a lot of benzoin that makes this like quite an obvious perfume, you know? It smells like a classy lady. I feel like I read somewhere that it says it smells like your rich aunt. It's a rich auntie scent, and I mean, I kind of understand what people are saying with that. It really does. It's a beautiful perfume to wear. It's really, really pretty. If you are someone who prefers like easygoing gourmands, this might be a little bit too perfumey for you. If you like things like Chopard from Rochard, you know, and you like maybe more ambery perfumes, because it doesn't list amber in here, but when I smell this I think of the more kind of ambery perfumes. So this one has notes of plum, raspberry, ginger and bergamot in the top, and you do get a little bit of that spiciness. Egyptian jasmine and flowers and narcissus in the mid. I mean, I don't know that I find jasmine the strongest here. I think it's very much just a general bouquet of flowers. Base notes, Tahitian vanilla and tonka bean, and that's really an easy, noticeable through line of this. You do get a beautiful kind of slightly creamy tonka vanilla going on. Benzoin and cashmere wood, and I always think benjoin, not benjoin from Diptyque or whatever that one's called, Benjamin Benjoin. Benzoin, I think, smells a little bit gingerbready. Like, I always get that kind of ginger cake smell from it. So this is a really nice autumn, winter, warm, spicy, plummy, vanillic, old school perfume. Like, and I say old school because I don't know, I feel there's definitely some newer perfumes that have this kind of feel, this kind of slightly ambery, benzoin, perfumey feel, but I'm not sure that they're particularly fashionable at the moment. But anyway, I think it's a really incredible perfume for the price. That's why this one was in like my my best affordable perfumes. Oh, and I've had some comments on that one, so I just want to mention that was a very specific video that was about what I think is the best value. It's not my favourite perfumes, because my favourite affordable perfume, this would definitely be in there. But the thing is, this one is not very strong and it's not the longest lasting, and you have to spray quite a lot. So part of what I did for that video was have things, and I hope I was clear at the beginning of it, I chose things that were under £30, that were strong, that lasted a long time. And therefore, to me, they're like, if they've got the longevity and they've got projection and they're really affordable, then that's what that video was about. It wasn't about just my favourite affordable perfumes, because my favourite affordable perfumes are very rarely the very strong ones, like, or the particularly long lasting. I prefer like green tea and Stash Unspoken and Katy Perry's Indie, and not necessarily the things that, you know, are kind of beast mode, absolutely best value. So anyway, just a quick explainer. Right then, this baby that I was supposed to wear on New Year's Eve, and then I didn't because I couldn't be bothered to get dressed up, and it felt weird to put this perfume on when I wasn't dressed up. So yesterday, I saw my friend I haven't seen for ages very briefly after work, and then I went out for a meal with my husband. So it seemed like a good time. I wore a really nice dress and I felt quite glamorous. So, you know, I did my makeup. I had a real kind of, what did I go for? I went for a very dark lip, you know. In fact, I had some of my glittery eyes on and my tubing mascara that I was talking about in that video the other day. And then I had a very, very dramatic, deep, like maroon lip. And I wore Hypnotic Poison Eau de Parfum. So let's see if we can actually get this. I wonder if it will be a bit brighter. I don't know if you can see the deep red of this. Oh, that reminds me. I've got some of this in a little sprayer that I took with me to work, because I didn't want to take that beautiful bottle with me. I'm just going to lean across here and see if I can find it. Oof, I've got it, guys. All right, so you can see the colour of the liquid. This is the colour of Hypnotic Poison EDP, so the Eau de Parfum. It's actually quite a similar colour to the, what's it called, Pure Poison Elixir that I have. That's almost got a more pinky orange, but it's a very similar colour. So this baby, this is an absolute licorice bomb. Now, I have reviewed this when I got it, when I was doing like, I think I did like what I'd bought for Christmas or whatever, my Christmas perfumes. Got this on eBay. I got it for like a really good price. I think it was about £50. I think my max probably would have been about 60, so it would have been around 60 or under. These are much more expensive, obviously, if you buy them new, but I do see these quite a lot. This is a 50ml bottle. Hypnotic Poison is very beautiful. It's got that root beery smell, and it's got a kind of, I think that one's got aniseed or anise in it, and it has, like I said, the root beer, and it's got a creamy vanilla. It's a bit powdery. This one, I find way less powdery, and I get way less vanilla in this. Online on Fragrantica, it gets voted as vanilla being the top, and I do not get that at all. For me, this is pure licorice. It's licorice with a whisper, so you know that you're wearing a kind of hypnotic poison, but it doesn't actually smell exactly like hypnotic poison. It doesn't smell like hypnotic poison with licorice. It's got a feel of hypnotic poison, but it's not as sweet, it's not as creamy, it's not as vanillic. It is much more femme fatale. I would say hypnotic poison, EDP, makes the EDT seem fluffy and cozy, you know? It makes it feel kind of way more chill. If you put them onto, like, if you just put this on, like, so when I first sprayed this on in the morning, I was like, oh yeah, hypnotic poison, there it is. There's that DNA. But if I was to then spray actual hypnotic poison on my other arm, they would smell so different when you compare them, because this doesn't have that same kind of marzipan-y, or some people will call it Play-Doh-y vanilla in it. I don't think so at all. I think that is really not here. And it's just extremely sweet, black licorice with a little bit of hypnotic poison underneath. So it only says here licorice and almond in the top, jasmine, sambac and orange blossom in the mid, vanilla and tonka bean in the base. But I don't know. I feel like there's probably way more in this than that. If I'm just smelling my sample, it's quite strong. It's not like massively long lasting, this one. But yeah, I mean, it's slightly nose tingling hardcore licorice. And if you don't like licorice, you're going to hate this perfume. Even if you like hypnotic poison, the EDT, you're not going to like the EDP if you don't like licorice, because this is absolutely licorice. Oh, by the way, if you are interested in licorice perfumes, Savor Salvage Scents, I can put a link down below actually. She just literally 4 days ago did a video about perfumes that are licorice and anise. So if you're interested in that, because I was thinking of making one of those at some point, but I haven't got around to it yet. And we, I think, have some crossovers, but she's got loads of perfumes that I've never tried. And I've got some that she doesn't have. So yeah, I mean, if you're interested in licorice and anise, then I absolutely recommend going to watch her video. She's awesome. I really love her videos. But yeah, this is absolutely licorice, and it's like really vixen perfume, this one. I think it's really quite, I mean, it is sexy, but I think I said when I first got it, it's like Morticia Adams sexy, this one. I think it's amazing. So that is Hypnotic Poison EDP. There we go. And this week I reached for Mon Guerlain, the EDT formulation. I've just got this little one. I've got like half of this bottle. This was from eBay as well. Oh, I really loved this weekend. I think it was the weekend I wore it, or maybe it was when was it? I can't even remember. I think it must have been the weekend, because I don't think I took this to work. So it's brighter, more citrusy than the original, but it has a caramel note in the base, so it's not kind of quite as creamy, it's not quite as kind of cozy, but it still, to me, doesn't really smell like a summery version of Mon Guerlain. For me, that is definitely the Bloom of Rose EDT and the Sparkling Bouquet. Those are kind of my summer versions of that perfume. But this is super pretty, and I feel like when I'm in the right mood for this one, I really, really love this, because you can tell that there's a caramel in the base of this, and it's not sickeningly sweet because there's quite a lot of citrus mixed in. And unlike what I sometimes get with a citrus and a caramel, it doesn't smell like a cleaning product to me, and it doesn't smell like, I don't know, it just doesn't freak me out too much. When I first spray it, I definitely get more jasmine than I would like, and I do not like the jasmine in the Mon Guerlain perfumes when it's too strong. And I thought for a while that this one had way too strong a jasmine in it, but actually, when I'm wearing it in colder weather, I think it's beautiful. I think maybe I just don't like it when it's a bit warmer. But this is lavender, mandarin orange, bergamot in the top. Mid notes are jasmine, sambac and orange blossom and ylang ylang. And then we've got Tahitian vanilla, caramel, orris, violet and benzoin in the base. It's so pretty. Discontinued, sadly. You can still get it online. I see it quite a lot. Absolutely lovely. And then, let's see. I'm going to run out of space, aren't I? I know what, I'll have to put something over here in a minute. I know I'm going to put the next one up there, I think. So this is, I think I just put this video up. So Far Away by Avon. Yes, I did actually. And this is a new one. So I was wearing this the other morning because I wanted to do that review. So I was properly wearing it to see what I felt. From the bottle, smells very similar but slightly lighter than the other Far Away, the original Far Away. Still smells like Avon Far Away. Claire Smith was saying she really doesn't like these new bottles. I hadn't really considered the fact they're made to be stackable, so you can get the whole collection and they all just stack on top of each other. I don't know why you would want that, but you know, whatever. Avon, they, you know, fine. I guess it's to try and make people collect them, right? But anyway, I really like these new bottles. I think they're really quite cute and stylish, but I do much prefer the vintage look of the old ones. This is a kind of tropically vintage smelling vanilla and ylang ylang perfume to me. It's also got kind of peachiness in there, but it's not overwhelmingly peachy because peach in perfumes, especially like 90s and 80s perfumes, makes me feel a bit queasy. And this is a classic 90s, 1994 specifically. It's really pretty though. I really like it, but this is not my favourite version, so I'm not going to be keeping this one. I bought it purely to review because I have one of the older ones in the frosted bottle and that's the version I prefer. But it's gorgeous. It's really fun to wear. It's very of its time, but in a way that I still find really attractive. So like I said, if you like things like Chopard from Rochard, and you like, you know, if you like this kind of thing, then I think you're probably also going to like this kind of thing. It is a little bit synthetic smelling in a kind of plastic Barbie dolly way, which I get with so many ylang ylang perfumes. Like I find that ylang ylang often smells a little bit kind of banana-y and plasticky, but I like that. Like I'm really a fan of it. So this is coconut, ylang ylang, peach, caracurinde and orange in the top, mid notes of jasmine, gardenia, violet, freesia, osmanthus and rose, base notes vanilla, sandalwood, amber and musk. Now this Far Away is one of those weird perfumes that, like, when I first got it back into my collection, once I'd started this channel, I wanted to review it. I loved it. I was obsessed with it for a little while, and then last year when I tried to wear it, I didn't love it. I was like, I feel like this maybe has that tarry aroma chemical in it. There's something in it that's making me feel weird. It smells way more synthetic. And then this year I'm really loving it again. So that is why sometimes I do keep perfumes around that I, you know, if at some point I've loved them, unless every single time I go back to them I hate them, I will keep them around to see if I feel different, like in a different time of the year, because sometimes I go up and down with them. But anyway, when that one had worn off, I thought it was a perfect opportunity to wear something that I think is very similar, but if I'm being realistic, a slightly better quality, even though it can be, especially on first spray, way more challenging. And I absolutely loved this. I was absolutely loving it this time. Casmir from Chopard. I have this little 30ml, beautiful little bottle. Absolutely just so classic and vintage and beautiful. I love these bottles. To be honest, even though I know it would take up a stupid amount of space, I'd love to have a big bottle of this. But I very sensibly got this one first because it was like £12 or something. So Chopard's Casmir. Oh, see, now it's smelling so perfect and beautiful to me right now. It's smelling so vanillic and lovely and creamy. It doesn't always smell like that to me. But right now, I'd love to just spray it all over myself. I'm not going to do that because I'm wearing a very different perfume today. But I put it on in the evening when this had worn off, and I was obsessed and I loved it. And I was so glad that I decided to wear it. So as I said, it really is similar to Far Away. I really do think it has a very similar kind of scent profile, but this one smells more expensive, I would say. It's very vintage smelling, but it does smell, I think, a little bit more elevated than Far Away. I think for a lot of people, though, Far Away would be the easier one to wear because the really vintage feel of this and the very strong amberiness that you get in this might be a bit challenging for some people. But this is peach, coconut, mango, bergamot and fruits. Mid notes, geranium, jasmine, floral notes and lily of the valley. I would absolutely stake a bet that those floral notes are ylang ylang, because this smells like ylang in gold famously, and it smells like this, which is a ylang forward perfume. And then the base notes, vanilla, amber, sandalwood, musk, patchouli and woodsy notes. You get a lot of that amber, you get a little bit of the patchouli, but it's got this kind of earthy, powdery, green, sort of almost minty feeling to this particular patchouli, which I have had in a few perfumes. For instance, like Lord of Misrule smells like a minty patchouli to me, an earthy minty patchouli. But the vanilla here is really creamy. I think the coconut's probably helping with that. It's got this lovely peach that's been kind of tampered down by that mango. And then I get loads of ylang ylang, and it's so pretty. It really smells like ylang and gold, or I should say, ylang and gold smells to me like a sheerer, more screechy version with less vanilla of Casmir. I really think ylang and gold is probably inspired by Casmir. Yeah, it's beautiful, and I loved wearing it, and it was just so vanillic and pretty and comforting. I was a bit obsessed with that actually, and I really could wear that again very soon, I think. So then, morning of my birthday, I wanted to try this one out. Now, I got this sample ages ago, and I've been kind of clinging on to it and thinking I'm going to wear this on a special occasion. It's so beautiful. God damn it. I hate how beautiful this is because it's a massive rip-off. And even if you have got enough money to buy it, it's always sold out by the actual Yves Saint Laurent. So this is my little tiny thing of Babycat. Babycat is so up my street. It's this same kind of vanilla you get in Eau Duelle and Lalique Le Parfum. It's that kind of sheer, non-gourmand, sweet vanilla that isn't too thick or sickly. It's so special. Babycat is peppery and smoky and unusual and beautiful. But there is something in this, in the dry down, that I don't know if it's explained. I feel like if I was going to bet what's missing from these notes in the base, I would say benzoin. That's what I would choose. I'm just throwing it everywhere. But as you can probably guess, I was comparing these two. So I wanted to know, because I wore Babycat in the morning. Notes of, by the way, black and pink pepper in the top, LME, well, it's got black pepper and pink pepper separately, and then a thing that says black and pink pepper. So, top notes, black pepper, pink pepper, LME, mid notes of olibanum and saffron, base notes, bourbon, vanilla, suede, and cedar. And it is so pretty. When you first spray it, yeah, you're getting a ton of kind of a smoky suede smell and a very strong, warm, peppery smell. So when you first spray it, I think it smells more, that's when it's at its most masculine, that's when it's at its most challenging, and the saffron does give it a slightly, I mean, antiseptic isn't quite the word I want to use, but a slightly medicinal smell when you first spray it. But my God, when it dries down, it's so beautiful. And I kept sniffing it because I still had this on my hand. So I basically put a little bit more of this on when I had this on, because this is a smoky kind of green spicy vanilla, right? So I was hoping that I'd put this on and it would be able to sate this, but this is so much brighter and fresher, and it doesn't have that sort of warm benzoiny kind of, and maybe slightly ambery sweet yumminess in the base that I get in the deep dry down of Babycat, and I really love that about it. But this is so expensive. I haven't managed to find a decent dupe of this yet, but I will start trying to find something, and if I can't find it, I will start saving to try and get a second-hand bottle of this, because I've seen them for like 140 or something, and maybe I'd be able to get something cheaper than that. But that would definitely have to be save up for it and savor it, and it's going to be incredibly special the way that my Eau Duelles are, because it's just, I'm not spending £200 on a perfume. That's madness. So for me anyway, and for my budget, that's madness. But what I then did was because Eau the Audacity from Penhaligons. Now, I'm just going to put it out there. I don't really like Penhaligons. I love their bottles. I used to really like their perfumes back when they had Violetta and they had the more kind of natural smelling stuff. Nowadays, every time I smell their perfumes, they just smell like horrific aroma chemicals. I think they smell cheap, but they're very expensive. And the Penhaligons Eau the Audacity is probably the same kind of price as Babycat if you're going to buy it new. But I did notice on eBay that sometimes people are selling like 10 ml pen sprays. So I thought, right, I know they're by the same perfumer. They've got quite similar notes. And I also know that they are compared all the time as like, if you can't get Babycat because it's sold out everywhere, try Eau the Audacity. So I went in, I tried it. I've tried it before, but I tried it again after having like worn this for most of the day. And I tested it out and I just thought, I can see that this is almost the same as Babycat, but it isn't Babycat. It has a sweetness that I found so sickly compared to Babycat. For some people, that's going to be better news because you're going to get more of that kind of sweet dry down. But for me, it just smelled like there was almost like a caramel note in there or something that mixed with all the more aromatic, smoky, more interesting kind of maybe more challenging notes. Just made it a little bit sickly. So yeah, I wasn't mad for it. I found it a little bit irritating actually to wear Eau the Audacity. It was too sweet, basically, is what I'm saying. It was just too sweet for me. So the notes here are top notes of elemi, black pepper and orange blossom. Mid notes of frankincense, saffron and rose. Base notes vanilla, leather and ambergris. Now I bet you there's ambergris in this as well. I'm pretty sure there's ambergris in this one, because that's ever so slight kind of salty note, really just helping along the vanilla, I think. But yeah, Eau the Audacity, if you want to try and get like a 10 ml or something of that on the eBay UK, you can get that for like a quite an affordable price. So I think if you like sweeter, more caramelly perfumes, then I think you'd be fine with Eau the Audacity, and it doesn't have that tarry aroma chemical in that one. I tried, was it Balm of Calm, I think I smelt in there? That is definitely dries down to that tarry aroma chemical, and so do loads of the others I've smelt from Penhaligons. But Eau the Audacity doesn't, and it is almost the same perfume. It's by the same perfumer, but Babycat is just way my favourite. So anyway, moving on from that. So as I said, I was watching Savour Salvage Scent, the licorice video that she made, and I really wanted to go and smell one of her favourites, which is the Serge Lutens Bois Vanille, I think it's called, which is like a licorice vanilla. So I went into Selfridges and I couldn't find Serge Luton in there, which seems mad. I feel like I must have just missed it because I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I went to John Lewis. So then I went to John Lewis and I couldn't find it there either. And they've just changed their perfume thingy. So yeah, it's still a little bit of a hard kind of place to walk around. But anyway, I was on my way out and I walked past Chanel and I noticed that they had all of the, are they called late exclusives, you know, in the very plain, tall bottles. So I've been wanting to smell some of those for a really long time. So I did. I went and smelt some. First one, Beige. I can still smell this one a little bit. Now it just kind of smells quite floral. So Beige is this Chanel Beige. This is hawthorn, freesia, frangipani and honey. There's probably way more notes, obviously. So what I've written here is this is supposed to be a honey and frangipani, and I get that on the card, but what I'm getting on my skin is just the Chanel DNA. So just general Chanel, similar in a way to number 5 L'Eau, delicate, classic smelling soap. I said I like it, I would happily wear it, but the price tag for this is crazy considering that I don't think it's particularly interesting. On card, I can kind of understand the comparisons to the Prada La Femme range, but it's only a hint of that. Beige is much smoother and softer, reminds me of something, but I'm struggling to remember what it is. It definitely does smell like something I've smelled before. And I can't put my finger on what that is. But it's the Frangipani and Hawthorn. I wish there was more honey. It does have a little bit, but not much. It's very pretty. It smells super classy, but it's just not that special. So this is the one that I smelled on card. And because it had a honey note on, I wanted to try it on my skin. But I was like, meh. Don't get me wrong, it's lovely, but they're so expensive. So, Le Lion, or Le Lion, that's definitely not how you say it. I've seen people talking about this one. Top notes, bergamot, lemon. Heart notes, labdaman, amber. Base notes, vanilla, patchouli, sandalwood and musk. And I just wrote, Shalimar, but make it wearable. It definitely does have a bit of a Shalimar smell, but it is far more modern, you know. A modern take on Shalimar. And things like Chantilly is a much more affordable version of this general DNA, and it is definitely softer and easier to deal with than the original Shalimar or even the Shalimar EDT. But this is, again, one step further into making it much more wearable, much more modern, much smoother. It's a smoky kind of ambery, citrusy, vanillic smell that's a bit soapy. It's definitely like a bit soapy, a bit tangy, but there is a noticeable but quite subtle vanilla. It's really, really nice. Again, like price tag wise, it's not something I would consider. Like, I think unless you're rich, like unless you really do have enough money to just spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds on one perfume, like this doesn't seem like it's that special again. I do wonder if this probably smells like one of the flankers of the Shalimar range. But I don't know whether the Shalimar ones would just be more affordable than these because they're not cheap. But like, Le Lion, it's really pretty. I would totally wear it, but it's not a love. And then we've got Gardenia. So this is Gardenia. I went and got the notes from the bottle before this current bottle because I knew there was tuberose in this perfume. Like, as soon as I smelt this, I was like, that's Gardenia and tuberose. It's not just Gardenia. And the notes on the new bottle don't list tuberose, but 100% there's tuberose in here. So that's where I got those notes from. Let's see. Top notes, orange blossom, green notes. Mid notes are Gardenia and tuberose, jasmine and fruity notes. Base notes, coconut, musk, vanilla, sandalwood, vetiver and patchouli. So it's a subtle, buttery Gardenia and tuberose. It's sheer, it's bright. Gets compared to Moringa from the Body Shop, and I can kind of see why. But that one is like much more tangy. It's not very smooth. It's really like a body lotion kind of smell, that one. This is also compared to Tocca's Florence, but absolutely, I don't think so. Like, it is in that it's got that kind of buttery Gardenia smell in it, but that one I think is way more thicker. It's more buttery. That one really kind of makes me recoil. I really don't like that perfume. This one is much more palatable to me because it's much sheerer, easier. So, like, I mean, buttery florals are not my kind of thing. Like, especially the Gardenia Jasmine Tuberose combination when it's buttery is like, makes me feel a bit queasy. But this really, really is a kind of light take on that. A very spring-like version. And what I was thinking is it does kind of remind me of one that I had briefly and then I returned because I didn't like it, but it's way, way more affordable. And that's a perfume from Lalique called L'Amour. That comes in a bottle that's the same shape as Lalique Le Parfum, but it is like Gardenia, tuberose, jasmine, kind of buttery, but kind of slightly sheer. Yeah, it really does remind me quite a bit of L'Amour, so I would say that's a really good affordable alternative if you like this kind of scent. But yeah, Gardenia is very pretty, but it's not for me. Then we've got, Jersey. I was really looking forward to smelling this one because it's got lavender in it. This was the one that I've really been trying to get like a little sample of. I should have sprayed this one on me as well. If that woman hadn't have been like loitering, like I would have. But anyway, so this jersey is lavender, musk, vanilla, tonka, wildflowers, grass, rose, jasmine. They haven't put these in a specific pyramid. That's why it's all just one thing. So the dry down's pretty. Again, it's got a very Chanel DNA kind of feel about this. The dry down I found a little tiny bit sickly because it's kind of powdery and sweet, but it's also quite comforting. And there's definitely, there are comparisons to Lush Twilight and American Cream, but it doesn't really smell like either of those perfumes to me. I have both of those. But it is kind of weird because there were actually a couple of perfumes that I sniffed while I was there that I remember thinking, it kind of smells like a Lush shop. And weirdly, Jersey does smell like a mashup of the general Lush DNA and the general Chanel DNA. And it is quite an odd mixture, if I'm honest, but also kind of beautiful. Yeah, I can still smell this one quite clearly. It's one of the stronger ones, I think. There's a comparison to Burberry Brit Rhythm, and I kind of get that because there is lavender in that one as well, and there is a real sweetness in there that's almost a powdery, sugary sweetness. But that one smells like a body lotion. I don't think this really smells so much like a body lotion, and it doesn't entirely smell like Brit Rhythm, but there are some crossovers. I couldn't stop sniffing it. I can't stop sniffing it now. I don't know how wearable this actually would be, but I do think it's really, really pretty. And it also weirdly has like a little bit of similarity with Chanel No. 5 Eau Premiere. There's something about the vanilla and the sweetness in that one that kind of reminds me of this. It's super pretty. It's really pretty. I would like to try this one on my skin just to see what happens with it, seeing as like beige just was so different on my skin than it was on card. But yeah, on card, pretty, very pretty. And then this one, there were a couple that just have like the dates, I can't remember was it 1970 something, or I can't remember, but I really liked a couple of these that just had numbers. 1932 from Chanel. Top notes are aldehydes, pear and grapefruit. Mid notes are iris, floral notes and jasmine. The base notes are musk, woody notes, vetiver, vanilla and incense. Another one I literally couldn't stop sniffing. It's like super unisex smelling to me, this one. But it's somehow like really delicate. It's kind of addictive. Very obviously Chanel again. Like it's kind of Chanel but stripped back. So it's iris forward, like a sheer take on classic Chanel aldehydes. It smells really expensive. I really do think this one actually smells expensive. A lot of Chanels to me just smell expensive, but this one specifically really does. There's a hint of a clean man's warm skin. That's what I wrote about this, which means there's a slight funk in this, but a sexy funk. I'm kind of digging this one. But I'd like to see what this smells like on my skin, but I'd also really like to know what my husband would smell like in this one. So, yeah, I mean, this one's really pretty. But yeah, it's a classic Chanel. I mean, I think really Jersey is, in the dry down, a more unusual thing to smell from Chanel to me. Like, although again it definitely has that, there's Chanel DNA here, because there is that weird kind of Lush DNA feel as well, quite unusual. But I think all these others really do smell like Chanel. Like Gardenia, you can tell that's Chanel, like you really can. Beige, you can tell it's Chanel. And Lalique, you can tell this is Chanel, but it's like Chanel La Eau, or Chanel, actually maybe more Chanel No. 5 Eau Premiere had a baby with Guerlain and Shalimar. That's kind of what Lalique smells like. Yeah, so these are all absolute classics. They're real classic Chanels. Really beautiful. Are they worth the money? Well, not personally to me, but if I could ever get like a miniature of some of these, I'm sure I'd really enjoy wearing them. They're very, very pretty. But yeah, so interesting. That was just a fun little aside where I just went in for one thing and came out with a load of samples of other things. But yeah, it was a really fun week. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you are already. If you're not, please do consider subscribing to my channel. It makes a massive difference to me. And yeah, let me know what you wore this week, last week I should say. Let me know if you've got any of these. Let me know if you know of a genuinely good dupe for Babycat, because from what I've read about the Riff Cat one by Paris Corner, which actually is around for about £40 from what I've seen, and I can't really, it's not easy to find samples of that for some reason. But I've read that it doesn't have the same, quite as much vanilla, and it's got more of the other things. So I don't think it would work for me. I need a good dupe of this. And I've tried Perfume Parlour, and I don't think their dupe is very good. Even though I love a lot of their other stuff, I just don't think their Babycat's great. So I need to find a good dupe, man, because otherwise I'm going to end up having to save and save and save and save and buy a partial bottle, which that's fine. But still, if I could find a dupe, that would be good, because then I can tell you guys of a good dupe. So thank you very much. You're all wonderful. Thanks for all the support, and I will see you again this time next week. All right. Bye, guys.